What's up? Today I'm doing a video about adaptive reuse projects in the city of Baltimore. I did one in Detroit and looked at some of the cool projects they have going on there, so I figured it would be cool to do one about Baltimore. Now, one thing particularly interesting about Baltimore, I feel like it gets a bad reputation for sucking, but there are some really neat things about it, and one of them is it's got a really high percentage of historic buildings. As you can see by this chart, 34% of the buildings are on the National Register of Historic Buildings, which is way higher percentage-wise than some of these other cities like San Francisco and Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia. So it's got a good baseline for adaptive reuse projects because you got all these old buildings, and there's been quite a few cool ones. So probably the most recognizable one in the city of Baltimore is the power plant down at the Inner Harbor. And unfortunately, Google Maps doesn't go back far enough to see what the old power plant looked like, but Google Images does. So this is what it looks like down here. And they turned, not surprisingly, I guess you can probably guess what it used to be. It used to be a power plant, but they turned it into sort of a mixed-use offices and waterfront entertainment, retail, and restaurants, and all kinds of neat things like that. And it's, for a long time now, it's been a pretty big draw down at the Inner Harbor. Next up, this one is a pretty recent one over in the Fells Point neighborhood. This is the old wreck pier on the water, and this one, Google Maps does go back far enough to see what it looked like. It was, so 15, 20 years ago, it was just a pier run down. It was falling apart, mostly abandoned, and then the Under Armour guy, Kevin Plank, he and a team of developers went to work. I think my power just went out. Went to work on making a snazzy hotel, and that's what this is. So pretty cool. It's got a nice bar down in the front. It's got a pool out on the end of the pier. Next one, this one is 10 Light Street downtown. It used to be an office building. It's one of the tallest buildings in the city of Baltimore, and it was converted recently, about 10 years ago, into residential units. And actually surprisingly affordable for its location, that kind of thing. This one has the gym downstairs in the basement was also redone by Under Armour. They're kind of big in the city of Baltimore, but it's really neat the way they did it and incorporated like some of the old architecture and that kind of thing. It's definitely not your typical gym. This one in the Remington neighborhood of just north of downtown, this one used to be an old auto body shop back in the day. So this was 2008, and then it was renovated into a food hall, offices, mixed use kind of thing. And this one's cool because it's had a very positive effect on the surrounding areas. As you can see, used to be kind of run down, scuzzy looking neighborhood, and there's been a lot of sort of secondary development since our house was built. As you can see, all these new businesses and other, housing renovations and things like that. So that's been really cool for that neighborhood. Next up is the Hebrew Orphanage over on the west side, and this one had really cool architecture. And it sat abandoned for a really long time. I don't know exactly how long, but pretty long. And it was renovated into a community health and wellness kind of situation. I think they do a lot of stuff with drug rehab. And unfortunately, Google Maps doesn't show what it looks like new, or fixed up. But it looks pretty sweet. Next up, this was the Baltimore Design School. Just north of downtown. As you can see, Baltimore has no shortage of abandoned, ugly-looking buildings, but this one was fixed up into a design-oriented school. I think it's actually a high school. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on it, but I think it's a high school, and they focus on all the design, creative kind of stuff. And as you can see, it's a big improvement over what it used to be. Next up, this is one of my favorite ones over on the east side, the American Brewery building. As you can see, it's pretty cool architecture and all that kind of stuff. But it had fallen into pretty significant disrepair. And then maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, something like that, it was fixed up into this. I'm not exactly sure what it is. It's human in headquarters. I think it's like sort of a another one of those sort of community development, connecting people with services and helping people with like workforce development type things. But the project itself is very cool, and it's awesome that they were able to save a building like this. Next up, this one, if you've been to a Ravens game or Orioles game, you've probably seen this one. It's right off the highway, and I think the location of this one is part of the reason why I like it so much, because I would have thought it would have been really hard to justify fixing it up just because it's right underneath the highway. I don't know where it went. Shoot. Let's see. Let's try this again. All right, so it's right off the highway. My power came back on. Anyways, right off the highway, and it was in pretty rough shape, as you can see. This was 2007, and then like 2018, 2019, sometime around then was when they fixed it up. And this one also, the interior of it is super cool. I think they did a really good job with the kind of maintaining the old industrial vibe, but now they use it as like an event space and have weddings and things like that there. But really cool how they managed to kind of keep the old warehouse vibe with obviously modernizing it quite a bit and making it. And then there's also like offices and things like that. As you can see, lots of different uses. You can throw a big party, get married, all kinds of fun stuff. Let's see, what do I got left? I don't know what's up with these lights. The American Can Company over on the southeast waterfront. This one was a can company, and when it stopped being that, let's see, that's what it looked like back in its can company days. But then it's another one that was sort of a multiple uses. Now it's like restaurants, and you got Outback Steakhouse. You got the DAP World headquarters for the company that makes caulk. You got more restaurants and retail and things like that. So another cool one. What do we got next? I think I'm down to no wait, is there one more? Okay, so these last two haven't been done yet, but I think they are in desperate need of adaptive reuse projects because I think they're too cool to lose out on. So this is the downtown prison complex, but there's this old part of it, and as you can see, I guess it was about 2020, they started demolishing some of the less historically relevant kind of stuff. But they kept this old part, and I'm not exactly sure what they plan on doing with it, but it seems like it's neat enough looking that hopefully they find something to do with it. I'm sure it would be a challenge just given, I don't know what you do with an old prison, but looks pretty cool, and hopefully that they're able to do something cool with it. And last but not least, this is the Mayfair Theater in downtown on Howard Street. And this one is interesting because this has been going on for decades, what they're going to do, how they're going to fix it up. And unfortunately, during that time, if you go back to 2008, you can see it's like a whole building. And then as they've been waiting around trying to figure out what they're going to do with it and how they're going to fix it up, and if who's going to pay for it and all that kind of stuff, it's been deteriorating pretty badly. And then the back half of it collapsed. So now it's really just a facade, but it's a cool facade. So it would be cool if they could hang on to it and do something cool with it, and at least save the front of it, and maintain some of the history. But I'm not sure. It's like I said, it's been going on for so long, and not much productive has been done, and it's gotten in substantially worse shape than it was when they started talking about it. So not sure what's going to happen, but it would be cool if this one could be saved. So there you have it. That's 10 of my favorite Baltimore adaptive reuse projects, plus 2 more that hopefully will be adapted into something very soon. So that's all I got. Let me know if you got any other like cities. So far, I've done Baltimore and Detroit. Detroit just because it's super interesting and there's all kinds of adaptive reuse projects, and Baltimore because that's where I'm from, so that's one that I know kind of well. But if you have ideas for other ones or other other cities or other projects, feel free to let me know, and definitely appreciate all the suggestions. Thanks.